little farms like this, family farms, they can't make it. I could give you this farm right now, everything on it, and you could be the most knowledgeable farmer in Kentucky. You can't make a living on this farm and live by your standards. You can make a living, but you really have to drop your living standards. It's not what you make, it's what you got at the end of the year. And that's how my mom and dad made it. I get a lot out of it. We'll go out there and it's hard work. It's hot, it's miserable.
There's the boss.
But we grew up with that. We didn't know no different, and it wasn't no big deal.
Hi, babies.
We get done putting in hay, we sit up there, sit around a silo, drink some beer, shoot the bull, and it's like a good time. That's paying enough for me.
To move the war worker and his family away from the smoke and stench of places like this and give him a place to live where he and his family can keep in touch with Mother Earth and get their share of fresh air and sunshine.
With the thresher available, more and more farmers have been growing oats. Recently, a young man bought the thresher and turns the income into improvements on his own farm.
Jim and Louisa have worked hard to produce their crop and maintain high standards for quality and safety.
Family farms across the United States are rapidly disappearing.
So, family farms aren't what they used to be. No matter how you look at it, the dream of family farms that once built this country has faded. My family and I grew up on one of those farms and wanted to share with you what it was like. All the highs, lows, and everything in between. And what better way than to start at the beginning? Let's talk about George and Helen Bach.
My mom was raised on a small farm down on Richardson Road. And back then, nobody went to high school hardly, and she got a job in Chillitos over in Cincinnati as an elevator operator. And she worked there about a year and a half before she and my dad got married. And my dad was raised on a farm over on Independence Station Road, which is now a county park. But he lived there with his dad. And at the age of 13, he started to do farming work. And he farmed a lot. They met at church. They both were members of St. Cecilia's Church. And back then, they had a youth organization that the youth got together once a week and had entertainment. And he used to walk down to see my mom where she lived. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles apart. He would walk down on a Sunday afternoon. That's the only day he had off. And to see her. But I think it was pretty much love at first sight, yes. They got married in St. Cecilia's Catholic Church down in Independence. And they got married in 1940. The Reds were playing the World Series. They were in the championship game that day. And the priest who married them was late getting to the reception because he went to the game. But they got married in the morning. Back then, all Catholic weddings were early in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they had the reception down at my mother's house. Then he stayed on the farm. They lived there the first year and a half that they were married. They lived upstairs over my grandparents. Then from there, they moved to my grandparents' tenant house, which was just about a block away. And then after that, they was moved about every year until they moved up here. And Dad, the whole time, was saving money to buy his own farm. That's what he wanted.
Plenty of green grass, a whole sky full of fresh air, plenty of sunshine, and plenty of room for gardens. The kids think it's a great idea.
Well, none of the houses that we lived in was very nice, and I thought we was moving to a nice big farm with a nice house, and it was just the opposite.
I moved here in 1950, March 1, all grown up in bushes. The barn and the old house and the old smokehouse still there.
It was a lot growing up. We cleared the land and stuff. There's only one building left on this place that was here when we moved here, and that's the smokehouse over there. Everything else is built since we've been here, all the barns and everything.
The house sat here, and it was 4 rooms, and it was a little shack.
The air conditioner really worked good in the wintertime. It was cold. It had 2 little stoves in there, little wood stoves in one room, 2 different rooms.
And we put coal in the stove. And of course, electricity was the only utility it had.
We didn't have running water, didn't have a bathroom.
You get 2 buckets, go out the cistern, pump it full of water, and run back in. That was our running water.
And lots of times it would be frozen in the morning. It's sitting in the kitchen on a table.
And Mother had a washing machine, and she would fill it with hot water, which she had to carry and put on the stove and heat, and then carry it to the washer that she sat there to rinse the clothes in. And then we took them outside and hung them up to dry, even in the wintertime. You put them on the line, they'd be frozen before you could get them on the line, but they would freeze dry. But it was rough living there, and there was one tiny room on the back of the house, and it was, we girls slept back there, and there was 4 of us in the double bed. The boys had the double bed, the single bed, and a sofa in there that they slept on, because there were 7 of them. And then Mother had the baby bassinet and the baby bed in her room. Mother and Daddy all said, we're going to have a new house, we're going to have a new house. And in 1960, they built the present house.
And when we moved into the new house, it was like a castle. It was wonderful. We had an indoor bathroom, we had a closet, we had a bigger bed, a bathtub, a basement. It was awesome. It was just awesome.
This farm is not only a source of pleasure to them, but of considerable profit too, for it provides a large share of their living, not an unimportant item right now.
I don't know how my mother or Dad worked so hard. When we moved here, the main business basically was raise enough food, meat, and everything for all of our food. We had very little income. Then my dad later on got a truck delivering like water and hauling cattle and all that stuff. We'd only see him on a Saturday or Sunday because he'd come in like 10 o'clock at night from working, and he'd leave 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 days a week.
We used to help him a lot. I mean, far as he had a feed route, and we would go with them when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. Back then, the feed was in 100-pound bags, not 50-pound bags. And 2 or 3 of us would get hold of one and drag it to the back of the truck for him to carry him. And then we had our deliveries.
Yeah, he kind of started that before we moved up here. Hauled hay, water, cattle, whatever they wanted to be hauled.
Yeah, he never stopped. He worked from daylight to dark and lots of times way out up to midnight. But that's what it took to make it. I mean, it's just that simple.
And my mother, she'd start cooking in the morning when she got up, and she'd be cooking right till we got done eating that evening. She'd get done with breakfast, she'd start cooking lunch. I don't know another woman's worked as hard as her.
Of course, my dad was out in the truck a lot, so she had to be everything. She was the boss, and she knew everything was going on this farm. You thought she was just in the kitchen, but she knew everything. And she told you she knew everything. So you didn't cross her, you know what I mean?
Pretty much everything we ate, if it didn't come through Mom, we didn't get it. Of course, we had our own beef and pork, a big garden, canned everything from the garden, made jellies and jams and preserved anything we could, because what we didn't have here, we didn't get.
Even in the wintertime, the pond would freeze over and we would take and cut big chunks out of it. And we could make some of the best ice cream you ever seen. Mother would. Milk and cream and half and all that stuff, and we produced it here. The only thing she ever bought was sugar and flour.
We rendered lard from the pigs, so we had grease to fry things in, very healthy. And Mom baked every day. She baked, well, except Sunday. And I think it started out with maybe 4 loaves of bread a day, and then it was up to 6 loaves a day. And then on Saturday, she would just make a couple loaves of bread and then 2 great big pans of cinnamon rolls. And that was for our breakfast on Sunday, because she didn't bake on Sunday.
The kitchen was very small, but Dad made a bench to put behind the kitchen table. So he got about 6 kids on there. And we did all get around the table, but it was just very tight.
We had a lot of responsibility at a young age.
Yeah, Connie and I, well, we helped with everything around the house.
We helped Mom with the canning, the cooking, taking care of our younger siblings.
We had a rope swing out in a tree, and I'd take the baby out there and sitting on my lap, and I'd swing until he went to sleep. And when he went to sleep, I got up, took him in, put him in bed. But we knew more about taking care of ourselves and our family than most people when they get married.
As you can tell, there was a lot to do by us kids to keep this place running. We really had to grow up fast. The older siblings even had to play a sort of parental role to us younger kids. And speaking of kids, I think this is a good time to introduce all of us. Bobby was born in 1941, the first of 13 children. In 1943, Pauline joined the family, followed by Connie in 1944. Over the next several years, 3 brothers, Wayne, Kenny, and Eugene, were born in succession. Sandy arrived in 1950, marking the start of the second half of the siblings. In the early 50s, Tony and Sherry were born, and then Albert and Joe in the late 50s. The family grew to its full size in the 60s with the births of the youngest sisters. Reva was born in 1961, and Regina completed the family in 1967. I'm part of the 3rd generation to grow up on the farm, but we'll get to that later. Since there were so many children, and not all of them were born in the hospital, you can expect some challenges to arise.
The one birth was It was a Saturday night, which is Saturday night, and I thought, well, okay. I had everything done, and I went in my bedroom, and I was taking our sponge bath, which is the only way we had to bathe. And my dad knocked on the door and said, I need some help, come out here. And I thought, I am tired, I am dirty, I am not going out there until I get finished with my bath. Well, about that time, he opens the door and he says, I need you now. And I went out there, and Mother laid in a puddle of blood. And I did what I could do, and of course they called the ambulance, took her to the hospital, but she had hemorrhaged so much that she couldn't hardly talk when she got to the hospital. And then they took care of her, took her upstairs, and she got a little bit better, but she wasn't getting well. And the doctors knew she was going to lose the baby, so they took it. And it was a little girl. And I had told her before she went to the hospital I wanted to call it Mary. So she said, okay. And then after it was born, the priest come in about midnight, and she says, well, I'd like for you to baptize the baby. And then he says, well, what do you want to name her? And she says, well, Mary. And she says, I don't care what you put with it. And he says, tomorrow's my feast day. And he says, how about Mary Frances? She said, that sounds beautiful. So he baptized it, and it died about an hour after it was baptized. Then she came home, and she wasn't allowed to do anything. She was bedridden. Connie and I had been taking care of all the kids, doing everything. And we were both very tired, and I was 15, Connie was 14.
I think it taught us to work together. I really don't know how to explain it other than it gave us character, that's for sure.
That.
So how many were born at home and how many were born in the hospital?
Well, there was 3 born in the hospital. 1 was born in an ambulance, and the rest was at home.
The one that comes to my mind most is Albert. I think the doctor's scale, the most it could weigh was 11 pounds, and it went over 11. He was a big boy.
Well, me and my siblings are all close. Some closer than others because they're closer in age is the big thing. But the real thing that keeps us so tight, I think, is the fact that you were so close growing up. We was all, there's 3 of us in a bed. We all got up side by side and went to the barn to milk. We all went to the field, tobacco patch to hoe tobacco. If you work really close to anyone, you get to know them and you're a part of them. And if you do that with all your siblings all your life, it's just hard to not be close.
Sure, living on a farm, we played together, we ate together, we worked together, we went to church together, we did everything together. We didn't have friends that lived next door to play with. We played with each other, so we were always really close.
It was close, very close. Had to be close because you had to work together and you had to get the job done.
Well, we worked.
Whatever needed to be done, mow the grass, do the garden.
Load the wagons, garden and canning and...
Milked the cows, fed the hogs.
We'd pick strawberries by the crates.
Putting up corn, doing apples.
Well, we raised hay naturally for our cattle and horses, mowed it all with horses.
Cultivated corn, tobacco, and everything with the restless plow and a mule, old Bach. Yeah.
I walked behind her for days on end, for weeks on end, every day, cultivating. You go up one side of the road, down the other side of the road, up one side of the road. I guess we probably had 8-10 acres of tobacco. We had corn, we had gardens. All that got cultivated with that mule. The old bell that's up there, my mom would ring at it lunchtime, up there by my house. If we was going away from the barn, that mule would want to turn around in the middle of the field to come home. You couldn't get her to go the other end hardly because she knew it was lunchtime. So she got the other end, you had to hang on because she'd come to the barn fast.
We all had to chip in and help and to get it done, because that's what it was. It's you do that or you don't eat in the winter.
What was your least favorite chore growing up?
Anything to do with tobacco.
Sucker tobacco.
I hated tobacco.
I didn't like the tobacco.
I hated doing tobacco. Of course, I think we all did.
Oh, it's a hot job. Hot, sweaty. Tobacco, if you never fool with it, your hands get full of gum. They'll get quarter-inch thick gum on your hands.
My dad, well, he was a tobacco freak. I mean, he was very strict on tobacco. We built this tobacco barn. It's a very elaborate tobacco barn, and he was really proud.
We was allowed to raise it equal to about 3,400 pounds of tobacco, and that's all we was allowed to raise. That was the biggest cash income we had.
Because that's how he made it. That's how we survived, tobacco and cows.
I was probably 5 or 6 years old when I first milked my first cow, probably.
Well, when I was 6 years old, there was 2 things you had to do: start to school and start milking night and morning before you went to school and after you came home from school.
You got 3 and 4 years old. You went to the barn with your elders and you was underneath of a cow trying to milk it if you couldn't milk it, but you learned real fast.
We got a stool, sit down, put the bucket between your legs and milk.
Milkman would come and pick it up and take it to the trout dairy or one of the dairies, and
at one time we was milking somewhere around 15 or so, maybe 20. It was real simple to learn to milk because that's all we knew, And all of our older, like Wayne and Bobby and them, they all, was there milking, and you're just going to fall in line and do the same thing. You don't know any different, except for Eugene.
Eugene was a year older than me, and of course he got a nickname of Fly. I don't know if you ask anybody about that or not, but he never was in one spot too long.
My brother Eugene, well, he was the type person, if anybody had you laughing that day, no matter what you was doing, it would be him. He'd do something.
He was a finagler, that boy was. He's funny. I mean, he was just funny. There wasn't no 2 ways about it.
If he was here right now, he would have been done here. Okay, time to move on. And he was always where he's not supposed to be. Where's Fly?
He hoeing the back or something like that. Well, he'd be way back there, and we'd have to catch him up all the time and everything, And he didn't care,
He'd sneak off. That's the only time he could get to work or get in front of you is when time come milk, because he'd get in there and milk the easy cows. He was always making you laugh, do something.
He was always going, flying from here to there.
By the next year, there were results. The best crop of tobacco ever grown in the county. No longer was it one man alone against the drought and the flood. For the first time, they were acting together, cooperatively, for a common purpose.
So when we would be out in the fields hoeing tobacco, we would all be waiting for the dinner bell to be rung so we could come in and take a break And, you know, and then we'd go in and we'd gobble our food down real quick because our dad was always a slow eater. So we'd go in and gobble our food down so we could come out and play for a few minutes before we had to go back to the field and continue to work.
Well, he'd always take like a 10 or 15-minute power nap, and it would never be longer than 15. He'd be out there and say, "Let's go, boys," and we'd go back to work.
So, you know, that's where we got our fun in. Work had to be done first.
On Sundays, sometimes, you know, we would, of course, we had milk twice a day, feed the hogs and all that stuff, but we'd get 2 or 3 hours off and wouldn't have to go to the hayfield.
I mean, if we was working, we got there and sweat our tails off all day long. At the end of the day, there's so many of us, we'd get up a ball game. We'd have fun. And we always had a good time.
Well, we went frog gigging. The boys used to go swimming in the pond. I think that's where they all learned how to swim, but me, I didn't go in the pond.
When we was younger, we did a lot of rabbit hunting, and actually, some winters there, we would eat rabbit at least once a week because we'd get that many rabbits, you know.
Yeah, Albert would climb up the tree and get the hawks, and we'd raise them up and fly them around, and we'd turn them loose.
In the wintertime, you know, we played on the pond. When it was froze over, we'd slide in the pond, you know, play hockey with our tobacco sticks and stuff. And
Well, in the wintertime, neighbors, they had television, neighbors did. We go up there on a Wednesday and Friday nights, watch television for an hour. In the wintertime, if we had our work done and the snow wasn't too deep.
The snow be on, we grab the cow's tails and hold on to them, you know, and ski across there and stuff.
I mean, we just did whatever we wanted to do. You know, we made up our own games and just whatever, you know, would come to our mind, we'd do it, you know.
It takes lots of work to keep it going. You always think of horses in connection with the cattle ranch. It seems like we use it for most everything.
We bought the 2 work horses that we had, but those 2, we had 2 riding ponies. We just rode bareback.
They were riding horses, and they came from our neighbor. Mostly my older brothers used to go up there and break the new young colts and the mares and stuff to ride. He gave those 2 horses to my older brothers, and then they got handed down through the family generation, all those generations, and they was always rode hard and put away wet. I've got many memories of sitting on them watching cows because we couldn't afford to put up fence. Me and my brother Joe would watch cows up and down like the old days.
Bessie was my horse, and Lightning was Albert's. And I could take Lightning, and we never had saddles or anything, couldn't afford them. But I could take Betsy and just ride her right into a pond. She'd dive right in and swim across, you know, and I thought that was cool as shit.
We were outside all the time and playing, doing something, and, you know, Mom was busy in the house and she couldn't watch us every minute of the day, so.
Yeah, but, you know, we had accidents. There were accidents.
We was doing something with some calves in there.
We had to get the calves in for whatever reason, and one had a rope around its neck, and the end of the rope was raveled. It got caught around my ankle, and of course it, you know, knocked me out, dragged me quite a distance.
This was a wilderness right here. Seen my sister go down through there with a rope wrapped around her leg, calf dragging her right through a honey locust thing. It was awful. I don't know how she made it.
And I was hurt. It took the skin off my leg. It was not good. But you know, Mom, being the nurse and the caring person that she was, she took care of me, and I was fine. You know.
And then, you know, my dad, when he was doing something with the baler, didn't have the guard on.
Daddy came to the front door. Daddy never came to the front door. Everybody always used the side door into the kitchen. And I opened the door, and Daddy's there like this, it's his hand, had it wrapped with his handkerchief, and it was totally blood. And I'm going, Mom, Daddy cut himself. And then when Mom came in, he goes, I cut my finger off, and she screamed, oh my gosh. And so all I can remember is her going and getting more gauze and stuff and wrapping it up and taking him to the hospital. But my dad he had more fun with that finger missing from here with the grandkids. They thought that was the coolest thing ever, that Papa's finger and it goes to there. But yeah, Mom was very, very, very upset. And Dad was like, how'd you do it? How did you do it, bud? In the baler. I thought, well, the cows got meat this time.
Were there any fights between kids?
Constantly. Constantly. We would, we'd get into it all the time. Last fight Wayne and I got into, that was terrible. We shouldn't have. We was older, we knew better. We was in the house right there. Wayne started something, I don't know what it was, and he had picked up a broom and he hit me over the head with a broomstick. And I turned around and look, and here comes Mother. She's got an iron skillet in her hand. She even want to pop us. I'm trying to get him to get out the door, run, get out the door. He wouldn't go through the door, and finally he couldn't get the door unlatched or something. And I just shoved him right through the door, went through the door and all. Out the door we went. Boy, did we ever get our, busted. We took 2 beatings that day. One from Mom and one got a hell of a one from Dad. And didn't have any money. And George, he made us figure out a way of buying the door and putting it back up.
They were strict, but they were fair. Of course, we didn't think so at the time, but it was just a way of life. It was like, okay, kids, get up. It's time for you to go here, do this and that. And of course, the fall and the winter was different because we got up, the boys had to do their milking, and then we got ready to go to school. And when we got home, the boys had to go do their milking, and we had to help Mom with dinner and do whatever, and our homework, of course. But it was just a natural thing, I thought. I thought we were the normal people in the neighborhood, but I don't know.
A lot of people at school would say, oh, I can't wait for summer, I can't wait for summer. And we would all be saying, no, we don't like summer because it's a lot of hard work.
Freshman and sophomore year, we'd come home, we'd work, and I wouldn't see any of my friends until I got my license finally, until I went back to school. That was the life. We was around the family, and that's the way it was.
We weren't really allowed to go too many places, so usually our friends came here, so they didn't have to do the work that we did here on the farm.
I have very, very, very little regrets of growing up the way I grew up. But going to high school was my one regret. I wanted to play football.
Now, I did want to play baseball, and I did do that a little bit while I was in school, and I played 4 or 5 games, but that was all.
There wasn't time. We ran the farm to make a living for everybody, and I realized it, and that's the way it was.
When I was younger, I really didn't know the difference in rich and poor. I just knew our way.
My mom and dad, they made it by doing without. Just with doing without. Nothing for themselves. They got the necessities if they could afford them. Sometimes you couldn't even afford the necessities.
We worked hard for everything we had, and we appreciated everything we had. And in our hearts, we were rich in that manner.
I really didn't think of us being poor other than patches on our pants. We went to school and the kids make fun of you.
I can only remember getting a couple of new outfits by the time I was 14. Yeah, they were all hand-me-downs.
Of course, we just had probably 1 pair of jeans and 1 pair of shoes. We had to wear them all the time. And you'd have holes in your jeans or something like that there. Well, the kids would make fun of you.
I'll never forget a lady asked me at work one time, "You have 12 brothers and sisters. Did you starve?" No. We had beef, we had pork, we had poultry, we had fish, we had every vegetable that'll grow in this area, every fruit that would grow in this area. We had gourmet dinners every day.
The table was always full. We had a bench where 5, 6, 7, however many of us would have to squeeze on there, because usually there was always other people here that Mom would feed also. So there was always us plus whoever was here helping. Yeah, the dinner table was always full of people and full of food.
We had no money, but we was richer than most people. We had plenty of food that we grew ourselves, plenty of love and friends. But to me, that was richer than a lot of people had money.
That's how we were raised, to take care of each other. Mom and Dad took care of us, and we took care of each other. And of course, when Mom and Dad got older, we took care of Mom and Dad. It wasn't like it was a job or anything. It was just part of life.
Do you remember when Bobby's family came to live with you? Can you kind of explain that, and how did that impact your life?
That was tough, yeah. Bobby and his wife Jenny and their 3 kids came to live with us. I believe it was right before the 4th child was born, Robin. I was 16. And after Robin was born, Jenny, my sister-in-law, had cancer. And it progressed fast after Robin was born.
I will always remember that time. I was between 15 and 16 years old. My dad had to build a room in the basement for the boys, and we gave the front bedroom to my brother and his wife. And it was very, very sad time.
And my mom had a baby in January, Regina. And so it was up to me and Sherry to take care of the 3 toddlers and Robin, the newborn.
So my sister-in-law's youngest child was like my first child, because my sister-in-law was too ill to care for her. It impacted me to grow up a whole lot faster. I didn't really think about the job that it was, or I didn't think about what I had to do to make each day work with the family. And while I was at school, you know, I didn't really think about home, you know. It was just, again, something that you did what you had to do. And it was quite a journey.
The happiest part of the whole thing was the summer before she died in November. We had gotten a little above ground pool, and we were all out there with the kids, and we looked up, and here come Jenny. Jenny was able to come out and get in that pool with us, and that's the best thing I ever remember about that part. But rest of it was tough. It was really tough. But we loved her. We took care of her, and we took care of those 4 kids. And then, of course, my mom raised them. So.
I always looked at, for some reason, Grandpa was always Grandpa, but Grandma was always Grandma and Mom at the same time. I don't know, it's just the way I always viewed it. I guess because my mom passed away when we were little.
They were it. We are so lucky to have been taken in by them. So lucky. There's no place we could have been better than growing up right here. But Grandma and Grandpa, even though they were 2 generations away from us, and they weren't perfect. They weren't perfect at all. They made mistakes. They made mistakes with all of us. But what people do you know would raise 13 kids of their own, take in 4 kids, and raise them? I know she loved us. She loved all of us. But how hard of a life to live the life she lived, and then to take us and raise us. When she had a baby in diapers, these 2 were in diapers, I was 4. She was taking care of a dying woman, her 4 babies, plus her own kids in that little 1-bathroom house. And who does that?
How would I describe Grandma? She was a very strong-willed person. She could do anything, and if she couldn't do it, she would learn to do it. And she was always open for a challenge. I don't know how she did what she did. I mean, honestly, it was very hard for them because they were up in age, but Daddy was adamant about it. We will take those children. He lost his mother when he was 10 years old, and he said, you can do without a dad, but you can't do without a mother, because he talked about his mother until the day he died. He missed her so much.
He didn't say much. He was very quiet.
He was.
But he was a little jokester. If he said something, did a little jokey thing, it got people's attention. He was very quiet. Grandma was the one that ruled the roost in the family, for sure. But Grandpa, every once in a while he'd chime up and say something.
Yeah, he was real funny. But he had all kinds of.
Oh, he had a little bunch of wisecracks.
Wisecracks, yeah. When we first started milking, I said, "Hurry up, boys!
It's going on 6.
6.
It's
We
going
run
on
out there,
6.
fast as we can, tie our shoes on, try to turn those lights on, look up, it's 5 after 5. I'm like, Grandpa. He goes, still going on 6. So that way we would go faster. Hurry up, we wouldn't be late.
Grandpa was like the mountain of the family, in my view. He was the mountain, and Grandma was the keeper of the mountain and everything that belonged to the mountain. Grandpa was quiet, and he was there, and you respected that. Grandma was running around taking care of everything and everybody that belonged to the mountain. But it worked. That was our family, in my view.
You remember a time when we was in there eating, and she said something to him, and he turned around and smacked her in the butt, and she turned around with that skill like she's gonna hit him in the head, and he just got that little grin on his face.
You knew that they loved you, and they loved one another.
Well, the success of this farm would not have been possible if they didn't have the love and respect for each other that they had. They were very close, because they did everything together. I mean, if there was an animal in the barn needed help, Mom would sew it up or do whatever she needed to do to help Daddy, and vice versa. I mean, he helped her too. So there's a lot of sacrifice, but there was a lot accomplished just because of their togetherness.
Best thing probably ever happened to us growing up here, Grandma and Grandpa. But it was a good time. I'd say like our youngest uncles and aunts, they were kind of like our brothers and sisters in a way. The ones that lived here and we did.
We did incorporate a lot of playtime and time working. We would play King of the Mountain in the hay, and we'd go play hockey on the pond.
With smashed beer cans and tobacco sticks.
And it was hard having older siblings. I was supposed to belong to this group, but all my nieces and nephews are the same age. I've got 4 nieces and nephews older than me. I've got one the same age as me, and then I've got lots that are close behind me. I was their age, but I was supposed to belong to this other group, so it was kind of hard to fit in somewhere.
What was your relationship like with your older siblings?
When I was young, I didn't know them as well just because a lot of them had already, by the time I got up to any age, they had moved away already. They got married and moved away.
When I turned 18 years old, I got drafted, and we didn't even have a tractor when I went to the service yet. And then when I got back out of the service, it just was amazing how much more work you could get done in a day compared to the way it was before I left.
After a few years went by, I kept milking, and then I was going to get married, and I ended up building a house where I built the house up here because I had to be here. I couldn't be away from here. You can't. Dairy cows are 24/7, 360. You just don't get away from them. And I started milking exclusively and doing all the farm work then, and for 5 years until I was 25. And then at that point, I was supporting 2 families because my mom and dad had 4 grandkids and 2 kids of their own still at home. And so I was supporting them, and then I had 3 kids and a wife, and it just got to be too much of a burden to make it off this little farm. And that's when I actually quit milking and got me a real job in town.
Well, after I got married and left, I sort of lost track of some kids. I moved away to Georgia. When I come back here, I moved within about 2 blocks of Eugene. So he was like my go-to person when I needed something. He was there for me every day, and he called me about every day. So when he passed, it was a big void in my life.
Eugene passed away with cancer, and he's the only one. There's 12 of us, out of 13 left, yes.
It was horrible, devastating. We had never lost anybody that close, of course, we grandparents, but I think it hurt me worse seeing Mom, because it really, when that happened, my mom kind of went down.
I really missed him, man. You know, Eugene was always funny. He was always saying something funny or doing something funny, or even when he got down to where he knew he didn't have many months left, I could be working, he'd call me sometime 3 or 4 times a day. And we may talk 30 seconds, we may talk 2 hours, but he'd always have something funny to say or do something, and then, that's just the kind of guy he was.
It was awful. It was something that we never dreamed we'd ever have to go through that early in life. So, and he died on Christmas Day. That was but we all got together that day. We still had Christmas. But I think it brought us even closer.
I don't think you have anything else in life but family. Family is a constant. The love, the caring, especially the way we were taught.
We are all very close. I think we all have the same feeling. If we needed something, we could call and they would be there for us. And they have been.
My dad's birthday is at the end of July, and every year we'd come up to the farm and we would always fix homemade ice cream and cakes and stuff for it and have a birthday celebration.
And I remember Daddy sitting out there in his lawn chair with all the kids running around playing, and he said, "I am the richest man in the world." And I'll never forget that. I thought, it doesn't take money to make you rich.
Push here, dummy. Mr. and Mrs. Bach, close your eyes a minute.
2 years before he passed away, we went out and had our picture taken as a family, my siblings and my mom and dad. And he stood up afterwards and he said, Mom and I are getting older. He said, and I want you all to stay together after we're gone. And family was it was very, very important to him. And that was taught, you take care of each other, you help each other out, and it was very important.
It didn't seem to matter how hard you worked. A man just had to figure that it was going to be the same way next year and the years right on after that. But maybe when you hated it the most was when you'd see your son doing the same thing as you. Just no change at all. It would be better maybe to drive your son off the farm, get him off someplace where he could make a living. No, it wasn't that a man was lazy. He worked all right. It was just that he got nothing for his work.
Do you think there's a hope for small family farms ever again?
No, never. No way. As far as farming it to make money, no. The little family farm will never come about again to make money. Today's farming, if you're not huge and you can't make millions and millions of dollars, you can't make it. What I call hobby farm, that's what this is. I mean, we put money in it all the time. I put tons of money in. I'll never get that money out. The only thing I'll get out of that is the pleasure of hopefully my grandkids, someone else's grandkids will come in here and be able to
keep it going and someplace to go. And
it's sent down to generation where anybody can come back and visit anytime they want or whatever.
It's a safe haven. People travel thousands of miles to get away from the grind of work every day. And I come up here and it's like a kick back, and it's the greatest thing. And, not just me, a lot of people do. And that our grandkids come with us and they see that, I think.
Yeah, I'm proud of it the way it is. Just hope it stays like this.
I've thought about it a lot, and I think eventually down the road it'll get divided up in parcels just like every other farm. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, it's the same as every farm. It's going to be a nice place to build a lot of houses pretty soon. Sooner or later, because time marches on. That's the way all farms are.
It's not what any of us wish to happen.
No.
I had my way, nothing would be touched. It would stay exactly the way it is.
I hope that a family member or two will take over the farm and keep it, pass it down to their children. That's what I would hope for it.
I still think it could be a place of learning about what life's all about.
Well, I think this farm has taught everybody that's had something to do with it a lot of respect, and it also you learn how to manage your life when you have to go through this kind of a procedure in a young life, and I think the younger generation is getting it.
I don't know. They just got to be here to learn.
I would hope that they would just honor and respect everything that's gone into this farm to make it what it is.
I would encourage them to slow down and appreciate the love and the work that went into it, the sacrifices that were made.
Because everybody's worked together to get it to here.
The number of American farmers struggling to stay afloat is on the rise. Family farm bankruptcies last year were up 55% from 2023.
Family farms built this country, but right now, As hundreds of farms in America are being lost to corporate consolidation and land development every week, their future isn't looking too bright. Some people just don't see the same opportunities here as in the big
And the next
cities.
day, and next year, and a year after that, I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm gonna see the world.
But I think the dream of having a family farm still has a place in America, because even with all of the hardships, rough times, and hard work, it teaches you something about life and yourself that you just can't get anywhere else. That dream that George and Helen Bach had for this little farm on a hill in Kentucky 75 years ago, yeah, us farm kids are still holding on.
Being one of the younger grandchildren, I had a lot of people to look up to. This is a place where we all grew up. Cherish every minute of being up here, all the memories.
There is a house built out of stone.
I don't know, we grew up here. Like, I'm gonna cry. I'm so grateful for this place and the way we grow up and our big crazy family.
What I want for the future is that this lives on in some way, shape, or form. I know it's going to change and it's not going to be exactly the same. We've lost some loved ones along the way, but I want future generations to feel as loved as I do and feel the sense of belonging that this family has given me.
But as far as getting everybody back, I've always loved it. You get to see our grandparents, and then now we've got 4 or 5 generations later. It's pretty cool.
I would love to meet my great-grandparents, but they're not here. But we still have their farm to be here with us. That's why we enjoy every farm day here.
Even though they didn't get to grow up with Grandma and Grandpa, they still kind of get to feel them and their presence here on the farm.
Trying to keep it going because it means a lot to them. And maybe this one. Are you going to have it one day?
Well, we rode school bus. This driver was the best drivers there was. He loved the kids. We went to stock market one day over Walton. Well, he see some of his buddies, and they had a drink or two, a little bit too hard. Well, we picked up our kids. First stop was back Bird Road. Went back there. He just could have turned that bus around. He had a heck of a time. He got to turn around and said, Bobby, I think you better drive. I said, I do too.
So you were how old?
8th grade. That's a true story.
What made you start doing that?
I don't know. I don't know. I thought that'd be cool raising them. So.
How did you get those chicks without getting attacked?
Yeah, can you just explain?
Well, we did get attacked. We climb up the tree.
How did you not get
We'd have
seriously hurt?
Albert would climb up the tree. We climb up the tree and we'd put him in like a sack, burlap sack, and he'd drop them down to me, and then we'd take them home, feed them. I mean, they was tame and they was nice.
So that's how cold it was. And Eugene and Wayne and I, we all slept in the same bed. And Eugene was very young, and he wouldn't get up and go to the pot. He'd just lay there and pee in the bed because it was so cold. And it was all we used to get so mad at him. Golly, we'd get upset with him.
Tell about that time Grandpa caught you guys smoking.
Yeah, he just walked in on us. We stole a cigarette from Albert or somebody.
Oh, out in the tramp shed.
Yeah. And I don't know where he came from. The door burst open. He was in a hurry doing something. And he goes, "You boys know where Albert's at?" And I said, we're red-handed. We're done. And we go, "No, we ain't seen him." He goes, "All right, I'm looking for him." And he get ready to shut the door and leave. He opened the door back up. He goes, "Put that damn thing out, and I want to catch you with it again." We never smoked again. That's all he said.
That was it.
You thought you were off the hook.
Well, we didn't get back on the hook.